Good morning, everyone. We gotta have a little more energy than that. I mean, they're putting me as the host on first thing, so you guys you're gonna have to help me out here. So, my name is Doug Barman. I am here to welcome you to Bulldogs to Business, where potential meets profession. I love that whole theme, so congratulations to the 401 Productions for coming up with that idea. I think that was great. So, on behalf of the faculty and the advisory board, which I am a part of, I want to welcome everyone here. I am going to push you to have a little more energy, even though it's bright and early, and I've only had one cup of coffee. But I mean, this is a cool day, and we got to have fun together, and that's kind of the key for it. I want to do just a little bit about me, since we didn't do an introduction. I actually was born and raised in Grand Rapids. I came to the Ferris State particularly to get a hospitality degree. I was one of the rare ones. In all my years of working in the industry, you cross a lot of people, and a lot of people fall into this industry. There's less of us like you guys that actually chose to be a part of this. And that is, I knew I had a cousin that was working in the industry, and I kind of caught the bug. And so I came up here, and I actually went from here and moved to Washington, D.C. Marriott International hired me. So I've been in Washington, D.C. area for a long, long time. Met my wife there, still live there with my wife and two daughters. They both live in the D.C. area as well. So I was very fortunate, and I'm gonna touch on it in a minute, but I did 2 internships with Marriott. And that's what, excuse me, actually got me that first role. And it's a great area to live in. I spent the majority of my career so far in hotel sales or in event planning. I was throughout Marriott and hotels, regional offices, national offices in the Washington, D.C. area. Got the privilege of actually working for some of the Marriott family directly, were my bosses. We did some crazy stuff when I worked at the corporate office. And then 15 years ago, I broke off on my own. So I now have my own team under a brand called Conference Direct, and we're an event planning company. So I have 35 folks that are a part of my team spread around the country that help organizations, corporations plan their meetings and events. And so I feel like I took everything I learned on the hotel side, everything I learned here on campus, and brought that to my experience now, where I help people from A to Z plan their meetings and events, which is pretty cool. And I enjoy it very much. I want to talk a little bit about coming to this campus. I came in, and the faculty is different today, but the person I met immediately, the head of the program, I just had a great connection with, and that was my first draw to this campus. And The campus itself, I knew I wanted to go to a bigger school, but I did not want to, be so big of a campus that no one knew me. I couldn't find my classes or anything like that. I thought Ferris was the perfect size, and I still believe this is just an incredible campus. It gives you that big college feel, and yet you can know everyone and you can know your faculty and all that. And that was probably the most important thing to me, is my faculty knew my name, I knew their name, I could walk into their offices at any point in time and talk to them. That wasn't going on in other programs around the country. And to be honest with you, I know we're recording and everything, I don't think it goes on in other programs necessarily on this campus. I think it's a very unique thing we have here, that you get to know your faculty and they know you. So I think it was the faculty, it was the campus, the classes that I took. It's funny, I'm meeting alumni around the country now. I just met with someone in DC and I keep asking, all right, what classes did you like? What ones didn't you? And we all kind of have common themes of the classes we liked and that made the most impact, that when we got out into the real world, they actually made sense and worked, whether it was designing events or the law classes, all that kind of stuff paid off for us. So I believe the classes also were a huge part of helping me be successful. And the 2 internships I did are really probably the biggest key. I already told you I was able to get hired by Marriott. They weren't coming to campus at that point in time. So the fact that I had 2 internships with them. I did my first one in food and beverage, and Parker, sorry, no offense, but I was not good at food and beverage. I learned that in my first internship. It was not my passion. I wasn't good at it. My second internship was in sales and marketing, and I knew immediately that that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be in hotels. I wanted to help bring group business to hotels, to destinations, and all of that. So, and I think we were forced to leave this campus and get involved in industry events and network, and I think that was huge for me. I got to meet people, and we're going to talk about a little bit about that today. So I did take some notes so I don't forget some things for you guys, but I think the key of today's session is, at the core, hospitality is all about bringing people together. We bring people together, and there's a reason we get together. We want to network, we want to learn something, and that's what today is all about. And so I think the key for you is today, we're bringing together clearly the students, the faculty, alumni. We're bringing together professionals out there. I know some of them are sitting in here today that you're going to be talking with later today. So what a unique opportunity to connect with those folks, learn from those folks, and get inspired about our industry. I will tell you right now, I'm very passionate about this industry. I think it's the greatest industry in the world. I think the opportunities are unlimited. I think sometimes there's a misunderstanding of our industry and what we do and the value we add. But if you think about it on a really small scale, there's nothing in this world that's ever happened. There wasn't a group of people that came together that talked about it and figured it out. Go back to the Constitution being signed. That was a group of people. Well, it was a meeting. They had a convention. And that's people like us. We're putting that on for them. So what we do is important, and I'm passionate about it. I do believe we're in the greatest industry ever, and I will keep sharing that with you. But you're going to have an opportunity today to learn, and I think the key here is today isn't about textbooks and professors, as much as we love our professors. Today is actually interacting with each other and interacting with professionals that are doing it every day. All of these folks here are out in the industry right now, solving problems, learning daily, and figuring all this out. And so we all have a unique opportunity to learn from each other. And I've been doing this for 30 plus years, and I am still learning. So I'm actually excited about today to learn from you guys and to learn from some of the professionals in the room. I do have a couple challenges for you. One, you have to put yourself out there a little bit. You have to be curious. Curious is probably my favorite word. Ask questions, learn more about me and what I've done, learn all about these folks that are here, your alumni. As the advisory board, we're working really hard to get the alumni more engaged. I think that's a huge opportunity for us. We've got great people out there across the country, and they all care about you. We just need to get them aware and get them helping, whether it's mentorship, internships, jobs. So that's a big part of the advisory board, not only supporting the faculty and everything they're doing for you guys, but how can we engage the alumni and get them to be helping you out there. But I want you to be curious. I know today you're probably going to be a little uncomfortable at times, and I want to tell you that's okay. Being uncomfortable in a safe environment like this, you're with your fellow students, you're with alumni, you're with others in the industry. We're here because we want to see you guys be successful. So don't be shy today. Don't feel, if you get uncomfortable or nervous, don't. You're fine. We're all going to make mistakes, but that's how we're going to learn. So I want you to be uncomfortable today. I have the founder of the parent company that I'm with, Conference Direct, always tells us when we go to events, just try to get 2 takeaways, just 2 nuggets. If you just have 2, it will be a great event, and it'll be a great day. So I'll challenge you to be curious today and try and find those 2 nuggets that are really going to help you. And it could be something someone says, on the side. It's not necessarily, it could be when we're out getting a cup of coffee, so don't worry about that. But today you're also going to experience one of these professional conferences that I talked about, that I put on every day. Welcome to my world, and welcome to the world of many of our alumni. Putting on events is fun. These guys from 401 Production have done a great job, and we're gonna learn what that's all about today and experience it. So notice, what do the speakers do? How do they interact? How do people interact? The professionals that are at the event, how do you network? These are all times and opportunities for you to learn. And I think the folks that you interact with today, can be someone down the road, and we'll talk about that in a second. But first, I think the key when you're networking and all that is, this is, as my youngest daughter always tells me, like, today I'm dressed up and going to the office, Dad, because we're adulting today. So you guys are adulting today. I see you all dressed up and looking nice. And I always think that's funny, but she's a software engineer, so most of the time they're in sweatpants and stocking cap or something. But when she dresses up in adulting, but the adulting part is fun, and that's what conferences are all about. We come together, and we have some fun. I think one of the keys is you have to participate, though. If you're not engaged, if you're not taking notes, if you're not looking for those 1 or 2 takeaways, you're going to miss a great opportunity today, because we've got some great people, our next speaker included, and on through the rest of the day. I think you're just going to learn from some great folks. So I want to encourage you, because every handshake, every connection, everyone you're talking to, again, put yourself out there, ask questions, be willing to share, because again, that could be somebody that ends up getting you an opportunity of an internship or being your mentor or something. I still have folks that I'm in touch with, even though I don't live in Michigan anymore, that are mentors to me from a distance. So these are all great connections. I want to say, as the chair of the hospitality program, I do this, and I'm involved in the board, again, as I said to you earlier. I'm very passionate about this industry. I think it's the greatest industry, and the opportunities are unlimited. And you have to remember, it's not just hotels and restaurants. You can be in human resources, law, finance, technology, event management, tourism. There are so many opportunities, and that's just naming some of them. I think if we put slides up here, you'd be blown away about the opportunities that exist in our industry. And I have many friends who, are younger than me and already have retired from this industry. You can be very successful and create the life you want. And I want you guys to know that from the beginning. This isn't, I know there's a lot of hours, I know there's a lot of hard work. We do that because we love it and we're enjoying it every day. And so for many of us, going on site, it's not terrible to go on site in Maui, I will tell you. It's not terrible to travel on an incentive trip to Portugal, Yeah, it's work, but I get to have a little bit of fun. So I want to encourage you that this is a great industry. It's time for me to transition to our speaker, but I just want to welcome you to today. I want you to have fun. I do want to see smiles. This industry is about having fun. I will tell you, and it wasn't the hotel I checked into yesterday here, but there's a lot of people at front desk that don't smile when you check in. Clearly, they're not enjoying it. So you know what? Go find something else to do. There's great jobs somewhere else, right? But our industry is about smiling. It's about fun. It's about being engaged. So I want you to practice that today with us and with each other. Please approach us. I hope you connect on LinkedIn with every one of us. I hope you engage with all of us, because that's what it's about. So I have to actually read this because it's pretty impressive, and I have gotten to know Ariel, and she is very impressive. But I'm going to read a little bit about her, and then we're going to segue to her. But our speaker coming up, Ariel Barlage, is going to talk to us about unlocking potential. Ariel is a proud alumna of a Ferris State University College of Business hospitality program, graduating magna cum laude in 2020. While at Ferris, she carved out a clear path to success, immersed in event management, actively building her network, remember that, participating and preparing to step confidently into the hospitality industry. And then, like many of us in our field, everything changed. In the spring of 2020, the world shut down, and the career she had worked tirelessly to build disappeared overnight. But where others saw a dead end, Ariel saw a possibility, another takeaway. She leaned into her network, another takeaway, found creative ways to grow, and transformed her setback into a launchpad. Ariel went on to earn her Certified Meeting Professionals designation through the Events Industry Council and became part of PCMA's 2024 Class of 20 in their 20s. This is a recognition given only to the industry's most promising young leaders. And I will tell you, it's a very, very impressive award. We look at it in our industry all the time. So very proud of Ariel for that. Today, she serves as a Learning and Development Associate with BPM LLP, one of the nation's leading public accounting and advisory firms with offices around the world. Ariel's story reminds us exactly why we are here today at Bulldogs to Business, to celebrate the power of potential and the strength of our alumni who turn that into professional excellence. She reminds us that success is about more than achievement. It is about alignment, and that following your purpose can turn challenge into clarity and potential into profession. Please help me welcome Ariel. Sorry.
Awesome. Thank you. Who here has ever submitted an application and immediately felt the echoing silence that follows? See your hands if you've felt that before. Okay, looks like most of the people in this room can relate. So then you understand with me that this is the silence that's worse than rejection, right? It's the unknown, the uncertainty. It's the kind of silence that fills me with fear and anxiety. Oh, that was me in 2020. A brand new Ferris hospitality graduate, sending out all of these applications, and then the world hit pause. My entire college experience was built around people, events, and travel, and then suddenly the world said, stay home. I was refreshing my inbox like tickets for the Eras tour just went live, right? Anything and nothing. Eventually there were a few, thank you for applying, but we're not hiring right now in these unprecedented times, right? If I heard that once more. I remember wondering to myself, I had tried to do everything right, so why does it feel like I'm starting at zero now? And what I didn't see then was that this email drought wasn't failure. It was just a different path from what I had originally thought. I couldn't see yet how that would be a benefit and get me to where I would be today. And that's the thing that, even in that pause, I didn't let that completely stop me from going out and trying to reach my goals. It's about keeping that mindset, that belief that I could get there, that I was capable of getting there and to reach my goals. Now, how many of you grew up in a different city than Big Rapids? Okay, looks like pretty much everyone in this room, right? Maybe you're from a different city in Michigan, different state. I grew up in St. John's, just north of Lansing. So it looks like most of you can relate with me that going to a completely new town, different area, can be a little daunting to try to find your community. For me, I was and I still am, naturally introverted person. But growing up, I always loved to make a plan, set that plan, and see that plan through, right? I was going to do anything in my power to try to achieve that. I didn't know exactly what I wanted to do, but I saw my mom when I was growing up, and she was an incentive event planner. So she got to plan these sales retreats, going to places like Mexico, Aruba. One of my favorites was Alaska that I got to go on. And I saw this and thought, this is really cool. You get to travel, bring people together. That's something that I want to do. So that was set for me. I was going to go earn my hospitality degree and focus on events. I remember doing a campus tour at Ferris and meeting with Julie Doyle, who was the previous program director, and hearing about all of the different opportunities that they had, the events that were going on campus. I knew that this was the place that I could really get that experience that would give me a solid start in the industry. I walked into my first Hospitality Management Student Association meeting at Ferris and was filled with nerves, right, that introvert that I was. But I was hearing about these events that they had been working on the year before, opportunities that were coming up. I remember after that meeting, I went up to Savannah, who is in this room today and also on the advisory board, and I was asking her how I could get involved with the Professional Convention Management Association events that they had going on. And that really was the light bulb moment for me, that these were my people, right? This was the community that I wanted to build and to take that into my career. And I didn't know at that time that that would give me potential and unlock opportunities to help me get my first job and to bring me to where I was at today. But I knew that that gave me such a sense of belonging, right? The people that I met at Ferris, that community. There were professors who saw more in me than I did in myself at that time. My classmates turned into family. I couldn't see how that would take me on my journey, but I realized that the people you surround yourself with, that determines where you'll go, right? Those are the people who will open doors or hold them open when you're not even in the room, right? Focusing on building that community. You may not see where it will take you today, but in the long run, there'll be so many opportunities that you don't even know will come up. And that's the thing, that potential isn't built in isolation. It's built in community, right? Finding those people, building those relationships that sponsor you when you're not in the room. Now, who knows exactly what they want to do after graduation? Anyone? Okay, I see a few hands. Right, for me, I knew that I wanted to do something in events that was traveling, but I couldn't quite exactly see the vision of how that would play out after graduation. My last year at Ferris, I spent going through a bunch of applications, interviews, submitting personality assessments, more interviews, and then finally I got a job offer for a food and beverage role with the Marriott Voyage program. And finally I could see that vision, right, of what the future would be after graduation. Even that last semester, my spring break in March of 2020, my mom and I had gone to San Francisco, right? That was gonna be where my job offer would be, working at the Palace Hotel. And I went to go look at housing, explore the city. I'm really surprised my mom didn't freak out then and there that I was gonna be moving to San Francisco. But I could see that vision so clearly, right? It was just putting the pieces together. We got back to Michigan about a week later, and then the world shut down due to COVID. That was such a disappointing time, right? Seeing everything that I thought was gonna happen, seeing this vision start to crumble, right? I remember getting a call from Amy saying that the rest of our semester would be fully online. My job at the Rock was done. Everyone was moving off campus. I'm sure everyone in this room has their own version of things that they thought were gonna play out during COVID that didn't happen. It's like when you're playing a video game, right? And you've made it to the final level. You've been putting in hours of practice, maybe years, right? You've been working so hard towards it. You've upgraded your armor, you've learned the patterns, and you're ready for that final achievement. And then there's a glitch, and all of the progress that you made didn't save, right? The anguish, maybe rage, frustration, that final achievement now feels gone. I just remember thinking, again, why does it feel like I'm starting at zero? What was my effort for that was put in along this way? I had this vision of the last semester and final graduation that I get one more chance to celebrate with my friends, right? We'd have one last time to cheers together. And instead on graduation day, I was slumping down the stairs in my sweatpants, hair in a messy bun, seeing my name go across a PowerPoint slide on the TV. Not what I had imagined. And I was really depressed and kind of humiliated moving back in with my parents, not knowing what the next steps were gonna look like after that. But just like in that video game, when you're starting back at level 1, now you're a little bit more familiar, right? You're a little faster, you're a little smarter. You got there before, so you've learned those patterns of how to get there. So I turned that fear and anxiety that I had in that time and moved that into motivation, right? Found that resilience. I started to update my business cards. I put everything that I'd done in my time at Ferris into my e-portfolio and was trying to reach out to my community, right? My peers, mentors that I'd met through Ferris, trying to see if there was anyone that was hiring, putting out applications for different hospitality jobs, and talk about the deafening silence. Over a few months, as things slowly started to open up again, I had taken a job at a local golf course, right? Something to do, I could earn some money. And then that's when I got a call from my friend Maddie. She was another Ferris grad doing her internship out in Colorado. And she said that they were hiring. Yes. Right, this was like me as a little kid on Christmas morning when you've been asking for that gift all year and you finally open it up, and that's the excitement, the joy, right? I could finally see like this was one step closer towards those goals that I wanted to go travel, get out of state. Now, it was a serving role that they had open at Grand Lake Lodge in the Rocky Mountains. That wasn't exactly what I had imagined doing with my bachelor's degree right after graduation, but it was out of state, right? It was one step away from Michigan, getting to travel, and I'd be living with some of my best friends from school. So a few weeks later, I was packing up and moving out to Colorado, and that was working for Highway West Vacations. I got out there right at the end of their summer season. They didn't stay open for winter, but luckily I had no plans after that. So when they offered me a job to go help open their new hotel and lounge in California, I said yes again. That was a chance to be a serving lead at the Vinland Hotel and Lounge. And so in October of that year, I packed up and drove the rest of the way out to the West Coast. I didn't know exactly what would be next, but I still had this goal of wanting to be in events, right? I made it to California, but I didn't want that to stop me from getting into something that I had once thought about and really wanted that goal. So when I got out there, I started to network within the company, right? As I advocated for myself, I made sure that I got to know the sales director and the event team, and that they knew I really wanted to work in events. So through that advocating for myself and networking, that next year, I got a role as a sales and events coordinator with Highway West Vacations, then helping with events at 4 of their properties. That felt like I was now even one step further, right, towards my goals. I was now working in events in California. Around that same time, I started doing some coaching with another alum from the program, Erica, and that really helped me to look at, what are my goals and what are the actions that I can take to get there. So I started kind of putting out some more applications again, and one was for an events coordinator role at Rosewood Miramar Beach in Santa Barbara. I had gotten a call from them, and they were offering me a job as a conference services manager there, and I was blown away, right? This felt like all of the effort and all of my work and dedication was finally being recognized, right? It was paying off, that this was this events role at a luxury property in California. That was what I had really set my mind to and wanted to be in that last year at Ferris. I just didn't see quite the path that it would take to get there. And that's the thing, that progress is not a straight hill, right? There's plateaus, valleys, detours, and sometimes backward slides that you just can't see in that moment where it's gonna take you yet. But it's about keeping that mindset, right? That belief inside that you are capable of reaching your goals. You can get there, right? That's half the battle, just believing that you can do it. And I will say everyone in this room is capable of reaching their goals, right? But keeping that mindset, finding that resilience to keep moving forward, even in those hard times. I mean, I know I was in your shoes, 5 years ago, right? And I couldn't see how all of these things happening would benefit me or get me to where I wanted to go. Now it's a lot easier to look back and see all of the progress that was made along the way. And there were definitely a lot of twists and turns that I wasn't really anticipating. But holding on to that belief, right, that we can control our actions, right? We can't control what happens, but we can control where we go next and how we want to walk away from that. Now, how many of you know someone that has made an impact on your life? It looks like pretty much everyone in this room. And I've definitely had multiple people throughout my life and career that have made an impact. But one that really stands out is my friend Carrie. She was a fellow Ferris hospitality grad, and she was out in Colorado that summer that I moved out there. That summer in COVID, we all came from different areas, different states, but she really made it feel like community and family, right? Bringing us together, bringing that light and joy. In October of 2023, Carrie passed away. That was one of the hardest, most sobering moments of my life. And I remember thinking that if life can be this short, what am I doing with mine? You know, work was going well. I was still at Miramar and had been working with one of our top corporate clients to plan resort buyouts. We would, close to the public for 3 days and host their dinners, meetings, events, bringing in their CEOs and clients. And, that was going well, but what was next? Right? How was I continuing to develop and grow myself? How was I spending my time? I was really missing friends and family back in Michigan. I had just met my partner, Kevin, wanted to build a future. Carrie's passing really forced me to look at how I was spending my hours. As I was kind of in that reflection, I had gotten a message from Amy about a job posting for BPM with a learning and development coordinator role. I knew nothing about learning and development. I'd never been in HR, had that background. But I knew that the position would give me a lot of flexibility. It was fully remote, so you could work from wherever. I knew that there was a really great community there. There were other alumni from the program, Kaylee, who I went to school with at Ferris, Erica, who was coaching me when I moved out to California, and who was actually one of my adjunct professors at Ferris. I knew that this would be a really great opportunity to grow and develop. So I pivoted my career and went into learning and development. I wouldn't have known at that time exactly, what these opportunities would bring. But that's the thing, is that it's okay to pause and reflect and see what you need. And one thing that Savannah taught me was that it's about asking yourself, what is the next right step that I can take? Right? I might not be able to see this whole vision of the future and how it will play out, but I can choose to take one step closer to moving in that direction of whatever it is that I need, whatever that goal is, right? We all write our own story. We can choose, how we show up. We can choose our reactions and choose, what will take us closer to our goal and what we really need in that moment. Now, how many of you wish that you could stay in school forever? Anyone here? We got a few. It can happen. You can choose to stay forever. Right? For me, I was so focused on just trying to graduate as fast as possible. I didn't really realize at the time when I was in school how much I loved learning. Right? I just wanted to get the degree, go out into my career, and start working in the industry. But now I realize that I crave constant development, right? Opportunities to see, how I can show up better for myself or my coworkers or my family. So being in this learning and development space was really inspiring to see, my leaders that were working to grow themselves and had been working towards coaching. So I wanted to work towards earning my own coaching certification, which I actually just heard back yesterday that I passed my assessment and recording portion. So now I'm just working towards my hours of experience. But coaching has really taught me that there's so much about your own awareness, right? How I think, how I lead, how I respond under pressure. And that's the thing, that we're never really done learning, right? Doug even said this as well. When you walk out of here with your degree, that's not the end of your learning journey, right? There's going to be so many new opportunities for growth, situations that come up that you're going to have to figure out how to navigate. right? Growing in new industries, new skills. And especially with coaching and seeing my own leaders, I really learned that those human skills, right, showing up with empathy, courage, and curiosity, those will outlast any of the AI, automation, and whatever else comes in the future that we're not going to be able to predict yet, right? Those human skills are what's really needed. Technical skills may open the door for you, but those human skills keep it open, right? We'll always need people. So taking that mindset and that belief, right, that you're never done learning, whether that's going out and earning a certification, right? That for me was why it was really important to work towards my certified meeting professional. I wanted to continue learning best practices in the industry, continue my education. Whether that's going to a peer or a mentor, right? And learning from them, from their experiences. Maybe it's going on TikTok and watching the latest things you're doing with AI, right? It's changing daily how we interact with it. So there's no way to learn it all here and now. It's going to be an ongoing learning experience that you continue to develop yourself in. What I'm really taking away is that community and who you surround yourself with determines where you'll go. Finding and building those relationships and those sponsors that will open doors for you when you're not in the room. Knowing that the journey might not look exactly how you once thought, right? There's a lot of twists and turns, but holding that mindset and belief that you can reach your goals and you can get there, that will take you farther in places that you never even could have imagined, right, that you were going. Knowing that we write our own stories, right? We may not be able to control all of the factors around us, but we get to choose how to show up and choose what that next right step is that we need. And holding that belief that we are continuously learning over the course of our lives, right? There's going to be so many opportunities for growth and development. So everyone in this room at some point will face their own version of this email drought, right? Whether it's a slow job market, maybe it's a career pivot, or a point where you start to wonder if your effort even matters. It does. Because your potential meets profession not in perfect timing, but in patient choosing, right? We get to choose how we show up. We get to choose who we learn from. We get to choose when to rest and when to reach. AI might outpace us in data, but those human skills, having that curiosity, that courage, empathy, that will outlast any of that and will always be needed. So I encourage you, when you feel like all of those doors are closed around you, don't wait idly, right? Prepare, reflect, connect, and show up anyways, because that's how your potential finds its purpose. So now I want to ask each of you to reflect, what is your next right step? Everyone has an index card that was on their seat. And so I want to just take the next minute and I want you to write down what's one action that you can take today that will help you move in the next step towards your future goal. We'll just take 1 minute, write down what's that action you can take today that will help you reach your goal. Does everyone have their action written down that they're going to take today? Okay, now I want you to turn to your neighbor or someone around you, and I want you to share that action with them. What's that step that you're going to take today? Well, just for a minute. All right, maybe just about 10 more seconds. Let's wrap up if you haven't shared yet. All right, so it sounds like everyone was able to share with each other what that action was. So I encourage you, now you have someone that can help hold you accountable, right, for that action today. So I want you to be intentional with that, right? Take this opportunity today to really apply those lessons and help move you in that next step towards your future career and goals. So I know we are wrapping up towards the end of our time, so I'm going to check in with our timekeeper and see if there's any time to do any questions. Do we have time for some questions? Okay. Does anyone have any questions?
Show of hands, who has a question? Parker's got a question.
Oh, yeah.
How long was it until, I know you explained that you found a job at golf course, but like how long was like the transition point between like doing that and like going into something that you wanted to do? Especially in like a time where, oh, I have a microphone.
Yeah.
Hello.
Hi.
I know you said before that you started working as like a server as a golf course, and it wasn't exactly what you wanted to do. How long was it, and how was like your feeling going into it when you actually like got into something that you wanted to do?
Yeah, so from that time in graduation, I'd say it was a little less than a year, maybe like 9 months, when I finally got that sales and events coordinator role, which was really what I kind of set my initial goal towards. So it definitely expanded some time over that. But I really think leaning on that community in that time, right, the people that I had out in Colorado and California helped to kind of keep that motivation too, going through that.
Right. All right, thank you.
All right, I think looks like we might have one more and we'll wrap up. What are my goals? That's a good question. Well, I mean, a big one for me is earning my coaching certification, which I'm hopefully on track. I'm about 30 hours in out of 100 needed. So I'm hoping that with working full time next year, towards the end of the year, I'll hopefully be able to finish that. I am also hoping by the end of the year to open my own business. So besides my full-time job in learning and development, I also support some events with either day of coordination, a couple months before. So that has kind of been what keeps my events passion alive. And so I'm hoping to officially launch into that, hopefully by the end of the year. So we'll see where that goes. But thank you. That's the end of our time.
It's always a bit surreal when our alumni return home to Ferris, to campus, because I do remember you all when you were 18, 19, 20, and not quite sure. And it's really neat to see you as the experts that you are. So I would like to say thank you. Starting off, thank you, students, for showing up, waking up early on this Friday. Thank you for those of you who are on our live stream. We're so grateful to have you. We sincerely do care as faculty. Professor Wolfer, Professor Dory, and I sincerely care about your success. And once again, alumni, industry folks, thank you so much. We have more alumni here at this Bulldogs to Business than we ever have before. We have more alumni on our advisory board than we ever have before. We strongly value our network, and seeing you all come back is just fabulous. If you're an industry person who's not an alumni, you're still such an important part of our network and our industry, and we are so grateful that you're an honorary Bulldog. Thank you so much for taking your time today. I would also like specifically to thank Doug. Doug Barman is a huge impact on your education, even though you might not know him. Not only in his role on our advisory board, but also Doug and his family have started their family endowment. And so they are putting money in annually to make sure that there's a scholarship available under the Doug Barman Family Scholarship. And so thank you for that. Who was the last recipient of that? There she is. Eris. Yep, Eris. So Eris, thank you. Eris got that scholarship. So thank you very much for those pieces. Once again, thank you. Lastly, I really want to thank support services. So our tech crew back there, thank you so much. There were so many campus-wide support services that have helped to make this possible and to help 401 Productions. And those of you who were on the phone with me Wednesday when I called Amy and you were getting from 401 Productions, when you were getting ready and you heard me say, it's here. It's going to be over before you know it. So enjoy today. Enjoy your first big event as a team. It will change your class. Next Wednesday will be a different class than you've had before. And those who have been through it, like Ariel and Savannah. Where's Savannah? Hi, Savannah. Savannah as well, both X Games alum as well. So thank you. So if you have any questions, please ask. We are happy to be here today. Like but Doug said, you grow in that discomfort. So grow today. Take this chance. We're all feeling that same piece. I will like to remind you that when you exit these doors, you're going to go to the left for your breakout sessions. There will be wayfinding. My event people, that's what we call it. Wayfinding available, both human wayfinding and signage. And if you're interested in learning more about what that means, take an events class. Does anyone have any pressing questions immediately before we move to our next section? All right, fabulous. If you think of anything, please let me know. Once again, welcome to a fabulous day. And I hope you all spend today energized and leaving energized. Thank you so much. Goodbye.